get started on the procedures, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the equipment that you're all going to need. First of all, you're going to need a ring stand, and the ring stands you can get underneath the sink, as well as the clamps. Inside the clamp you have a small 125 ml flask that you'll need to complete the setup. Also anywhere from a 400 to 600 ml beaker, and of course a hot plate and a stir plate. If you assemble those together, I think that'll be the majority of the things you're going to need for today. But there's some other things as well that you're going to need. You're going to be needing some equipment, and I'll be showing you that in just a minute. One of the first things you're going to need to get is a data logger. We have this Explorer GLX will work, also the regular Explorer will work, so you need one of these. You're also going to have to get a USB cable, and depending on the data logger you get will depend on the kind of cable you're going to have. For instance, on these large data loggers, you're going to get the USB that has the smaller connection that will connect onto the side. You're also going to need some sensors. You're going to need a temperature sensor and a pH sensor. Now the way you can tell those apart is if you just read it. Right on the front side it says pH, and it also has temperature right on it. Let me see if I can zoom in and kind of show you right on the actual sensor itself. It's going to say what it is. So make sure you check that in the bag that you for the temperature one, all you have to do is plug it in the top. Then for the pH, there's a coax cable that you need to attach it to, right here at the top. Then you can place these right inside, just like this. There's a spot for each one. This can actually hold up to 6 different sensors. Today we're just going to be using 2. You've got your data logger all set up. You've got your sensors attached in the top. And then the next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to attach the other end of the USB cable to the actual computer. You'll see a variety of different slots for FireWire, USB, all the other video outputs and inputs and those kind of things. So you're going to choose the USB port, and I'd like you to do it actually right in the back of the computer. Even though our monitors are fixed with USB cables, sometimes you can get the best connection. And then what you'll do is you'll turn on your data logger. It will actually read all the sensors that are on there and put the actual experiment or the lab right up on your screen. So if you go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now that you have your USB cable in the back of the computer, you're ready to go ahead and launch the data logger. And when you do launch the data logger, what will happen is you'll see this. If you see where it says Data Studio, that means the computer and the data logger are all synced and ready to go. Make sure you have these both plugged in, and then away you go. So what you'll need to do is you need to click right over here where it says My Computer. You double click it. Once it launches that, then what you're going to have is you're going to have this window pop up, and it says Applications. So you're going to go into the Applications folder, and you're going to actually find the experiment that says diffusion. So if you go to where it says Data Studio right here, you click on that, and then under eLabs, those are all the labs that we have in our collection. And it says Biology right there, Explorations in Chemistry, and you'll double click on where it says 07 Diffusion. That's your lab right there. Where it says Diffusion, and it's number 7, so we're going to double click that. And what it's going to do is going to put on the screen for you all the necessary windows you're going to need. And I'm going to close this back window here so you can see it a little bit better. So now you have a graph, just like that, and then we have these kind of digit windows, I like to call them. And those digit windows will let us kind of observe the temperature. It's going to let us observe the pH. But what we really want to do is we want to graph the time it takes for the water to warm up our solution and see how quickly the pH or the ammonia will diffuse across into the flask, so we can measure how effective is temperature in making diffusion go faster or slower. So we'll be seeing that in a moment. You're going to first of all go by the sink, and you're going to get 500 ml of water. Also in the sink, you're also going to notice a very small flask, about a 60 ml flask. If you notice this yellow substance, this yellow substance is just regular old household ammonia. And That's what we're going to measure the pH for. So first thing is we're going to go ahead and pour the majority of it in here like this. Once I've got about halfway, I'm going to lower the flask so that it's about 1 to 2 centimeters above the bottom. Once that's set up, I want to make sure it's right in the center. Now I'm going to fill this up right to the neck. Right to the neck in the flask. And then I'm going to set this aside so it doesn't spill. And really that's the setup. You want to get a baseline reading. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your pH meter. And you're going to put that right inside, just like that. And kind of be careful because there's some calibration fluid in here and it might spill a little bit. If you get it on yourself or your clothes, not to worry too much about that. Then also we're going to get the temperature probe, and we're going to be measuring the temperature of the water not inside of the flask but inside the beaker. Try to kind of put it in a situation so it's not on the bottom. Alright, here's our setup. As you can see, we've got our temperature probe just off the bottom. We have our pH probe inside the small flask. Inside this room is at 18.4 Celsius, and right now the water is at 6.9 pH. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a few drops of this ammonia. You see I got it right from this small flask. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right inside of here, just a few drops. I'd like to let it run on the side. Now this ammonia is going to actually increase or raise the pH. But what we're going to be doing is we're not going to turn this hot plate on for right now. We're going to just go ahead and let it sit and let room temperature kind of take its course, and we'll measure its pH. So once I've done that, I'm going to come back over to the computer. I'm going to hit start for run number 2. And we're going to be taking a look at what happens. We're a little over a minute now, and you can see right here, we're actually increasing in pH. It's kind of leveled out a little bit. And right now the pH is at 7.6, so it has risen. So in about a minute into this, you can see that already it's starting to diffuse, but not real strongly at this particular point in time. Remember, we have taken some ammonia, we placed it in here, 1 ml, and we have let it diffuse, given it 2 to 5 minutes to diffuse, and once that pH is kind of flatlined and has any change, that's where it's going to stay. So in this particular point, we need to make sure that we change this. We're going to take this off. So we'll take out the probes. Then what we're going to do is take off the thumb screw, lift it up very, very carefully. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to take this small flask and we're going to take this over to the sink. And when we take it over to the sink, then what we're going to do is we're just going to pour it out. Let's pretend this is the sink for a second. We're going to pour that out in the sink. Then we're going to take some water and going to rinse it out really well so there's no residue of any ammonia, so it can't foul up our experiment. Set that aside. And then we're going to put some more water, fresh distilled water in it, right up to the neck. Make sure you rinse this out extremely well so there is no residue. We're going to put this back into the clamp like this. I like to kind of hold it like this so that it goes a little faster to turn the thumb screw on. And then while you're doing all this, it's a good idea to go ahead and turn this on and allow it to get to 40 degrees Celsius. So I have this kind of hooked in, and I'm taking the measurements right now, and it's almost at 40 degrees right now. It's about 38 degrees Celsius. So it's coming into the temperature range that we want. And then we set about 1 to 2 centimeters above the surface. So this warm bath will prevent it from getting too hot too fast, and prevent any kind of cracking. It also provides a nice gentle warmth, so it'll be very even throughout the entire flask. So I'm going to take the temperature again, and we're at 40.2, just perfect. I'm going to reset this dial right in front. And now we're going to give it about 4 or 5 minutes to let this catch up, and then we'll also take the measurement of this water right here, and it's also coming up to about 29 degrees Celsius. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes. Then once the measurements are taken, also I forgot to mention, you need to also rinse the pH probe out as well, so there's no residue in that. So go ahead and make sure that this is all set up for a 40 degrees, and go ahead and run it again by putting the probe in, and then 1 ml of ammonia, and you'll do it one more time with 60 degrees Celsius water, and I'll see you at the back side and see what you came up with. See ya. Okay, run number 3 is done. You've given it 2 minutes. At that particular time, what you had is you had your 40 degree bath water, and you measured that on a continual basis, make sure it was 40 degrees Celsius. You put the flask in the water bath, and of course you were monitoring the pH in this at the entire time. We got some interesting results. I'll show it to you later. But at this particular point in time, now we're going to do the process over again. We're going to remove and rinse off our probe, pH probe, as well as our temperature probe. It's a good habit to do that. And then I'm going to, remember it's kind of warm, so please don't handle it. You're going to lift it out of the beaker, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take this flask now, and you're going to take it over to the sink, and you're going to rinse it out with distilled water. Make sure you get all the residue out from the ammonia so that the next run won't be contaminated with this. Now remember, during this time I've turned up the heat on the hot plate. I'm keeping an eye on it as far as its temperature at this particular point. And you can leave the probe, the temperature probe in it, or I kind of know on this particular hot plate where 60 degree is. Now that you have some time to talk to your lab partner, do you have any ideas on why molecules act the way they do? What's causing the pH to react so much faster in warm water than hot water? What are the molecules really doing?